Welcome to VNfiniti,
the podcast where we talk
and you listen.
We're your hosts, Ashley
and Tori.
Hey.
Hey, girl.
How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Well.
Good to hear your voice and see your beautiful face.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I've been trying, and you look lovely as well.
Thank you. Scissor, another episode.
Oh, Lord.
So this episode, we're discussing vernacular. Yes, a variety of language that's used in everyday conversations, i.e. idiom, native or mother tongue. In this case, specifically speaking about Ebonics. Okay, so African American Vernacular English, jargon, code switching, whatever we want to, call it, slang, where we especially communicate through expression. AAVE dates back probably to the plantation when our indentured servant ancestors had to kind of indentured servants.
Who is them folks?
What they call
you mean the enslaved people, the people that were stolen?
Our enslaved ancestors.
All right.
Yes.
I ain't know who the I ain't never seen no indentured servants before.
Fact, Jack. So, our enslaved ancestors. I would say the secondhand language they had to acquire. So I will also say it kind of ties into like the Gullah language, the islands from, our Creole, our coastal language from.
So our language
in Georgia, of course, is our language.
I would talk that black talk.
How they would say our language derived. You know what I mean? Like I would, of course, for us, it's how we talk.
It's how we talk.
It's how we connect. It doesn't matter where we're from. They will say will say where it came from. But
let's get into it then.
Well, let's do it. So we have a guest.
We do have a guest, and we're going to get into this topic with our guest, who is my very own brother, Chris. And Chris comes
Welcome, Chris.
Yes. Hey.
Hey y'all. How y'all doing?
Good. Hi. So my brother comes with us with all of his experience and learnings. He's well-traveled, self-proclaimed military brat who has lived in several different countries, experienced several different languages, as well as several different parts of the U.S. And he's coming to us with that same experience to talk about this topic. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Let's get it popping.
Let's talk about it. So this language that we have that they would consider informal language.
It's a language. It's technically a language that is actually acknowledged now. I think there is research and there's also people that purposely learn it outside of our communities.
Yes.
Yeah, it's starting to be recognized amongst a lot of different linguists. And there's a couple of videos if you want to learn a lot about that. He does videos on YouTube and things like that. So it's really starting to pick up as an official sub-variant of the English language.
As far as like picking up, so it's never really fell off, I would say, but more so it's picking up, becoming mainstream and
global.
Actually, exactly.
And recognized, yeah.
Especially thanks to the internet, right? So they might call it internet language, but it's not internet language. It was, African American vernacular way before that. It's just that, at this point, we're able to reach, different regions now. And so obviously, like anything else created or that was derived from African Americans, it's appropriated. So, they would call it anything else but African American vernacular, right?
Exactly.
And we talk about the history of it. So you brought up a good point as you was introducing the topic that it did derive from a loss from us losing our very own language when we were brought here in shackles.
Exactly.
One of the biggest things that I find interesting is the fact that a lot of our quote unquote, as you said, Ebonics actually is well spoken among the Geechee Gullah people, and how it has spreaded into a vast language that everyone recognizes. So it's not something like, you grow up in the South, we may say things with a drawl, but if you say the same phrase in the northern parts of the US, you're going to get the same response.
Yeah. But at the same time, it would be considered more code switching, like we talk amongst us, but
and I'm speaking amongst us. I'm speaking amongst us.
But you might say, in schools, it may not be the formal language, but our children come from home speaking like us, I guess I understand that whole, there's a place, but language unites people, and
exactly.
Slang from different areas, right? That's how you know where people are from. That's how you know what they rep, because you can hear it. You can hear how they talk. You can hear what they're talking about, and the conversation that they bring.
Exactly.
And that's what I mean by us being able to go anywhere within the country and say the same phrases. Speaking of which,
and you be like,
yeah, what up? Speaking of which, Chris, you have had a lot of experience with that amongst your travels. So tell us what it's like growing up in countries such as Germany, and being able to have that united front amongst the African American, the African diaspora within the other countries, and being able to speak that same vernacular.
Oh yeah, for sure. One of the things that I noticed whenever I was living in Germany is that even though those persons have never been to the States, they use a lot of the same slang words and terms for certain things. Even simple stuff like when you say something like, "Oh, don't be trying to play me like that," and it's like, okay, word. So it made me realize like a lot of the characteristics that we share with people in different regions of Africa, matter of fact, not just, West Africa. And, y'all did mention the Gullah people, which has a very, very interesting history on their language and everything, because one thing about that region of the country, because let's be real, the South has always driven African American Vernacular English, or AAVE. It's really come from the South because, it came from the South. So the thing about Gullah is the fact that 85% of the slaves came through the Charleston ports. So, you got different enslaved Africans who came from different parts of Africa who would never interact with each other. So we kind of lost the languages and really had to learn from second, third, or even fourth, fifth hands, as far as the language of picking it up. So that's why, like down there in South Carolina, I actually lived down there, went to high school down there. I actually hung out with a whole bunch of people from Charleston or the coast who spoke with a Geechee dialect, or it can even be simple as it's AAV Creole, because it's a mixture between different dialects that came through those ports, 200 to 400 years ago. So it's been a good learning experience to see how our language interconnects with each other and things like that. It's just kind of dope.
One of the things that I've learned a lot about when it comes to AAVE is the fact that a lot of our phrases originated based off of us combining several different terms and phrases borrowed from both African language as well as English with our native phrases, combining them with the grammatic sense of the English language, or whatever our native, whatever the language is that we've been acclimated into. And seeing that a lot of these phrases translate over into multiple areas of the diaspora, whether you're in South America, as you mentioned, Europe, and having the same experiences with some of the things that you've entering the room and saying, what up? And how that translate over and connects us across oceans. So like, I think that's like so dope that from a people who have lost so much that, as you said, language unites us, and we're still able to be united through the same tongue, regardless of what, stripped of us.
Facts, because it was stripped. But we'll take anything and make gold out of it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So while they want to create these barriers for us, that's not one. It was one, right? That was a barrier for us because they didn't want us to have our own native language. They didn't want us speaking our native tongue. They didn't want us writing our native tongue. However, you can't take what's from the soul, right?
Not at all. When you spoke about them stripping us of our language, I'm thinking about how in school we still weren't allowed to speak Ebonics in school.
And that's what I'm saying, right?
Proper English, like how we're even in the office, and it carries over into how we code switch in today's world.
Right.
So what's your thoughts on actually having, is it a good thing or a bad thing to have AAVE taught in schools?
It's a good thing.
You think it's a good thing?
Why you think?
Yeah.
I'm on the fence.
It's a good thing. Because actually, when I was at Fayetteville State, we actually, it was part of the curriculum. Ebonics was part of the curriculum. And one of the things that they really taught us at Fayetteville State is, hey, you got to embrace it. This is not a bad thing. So, so now that it's being recognized and it's being taught in school, it's actually can be considered a subvariant of English,
but
another
that's
form
at
of
the
broken
higher
English.
Education level, right?
Yeah, and that's where it should be taught.
Okay. I was gonna ask about that, right? Because in your primary and secondary schools, I'm not opposed to it. Don't get me wrong, right? But does it become perhaps an elective type course? Because formal English, right? Proper English is important by all means. But I guess the problem that I have along with AAVE is that, they stripped AAVE, right? Any of our brown individuals, they stripped the language, right? And that's one of the things that I've learned later day, how this happened back in the day, right? When you have our brown counterparts being stripped of their language, they're told, don't speak that here, right? And that's their native language. It's not even
in
AAVE, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it bothers me because it creates this division between us. Because if you're speaking your language, then I can learn your language and I can better communicate with you and you can better communicate with me. So I have a problem of, we only speak this language, right? That's a struggle for me. For ourselves, we're going to communicate how we communicate because that's a natural thing. But I do have a problem with when we're not amongst us, that we are required to code switch, right? Or that anyone else who's not English speaking are told to suppress that. Don't speak that. This is America. We speak English.
So you're saying
it's a melting pot. We're the global majority. We speak what we speak. I have an issue with you continuing to deprive us of connection.
Our language. So you're saying that we shouldn't teach it in primary school?
No, I think we should. I think, or it's not even necessarily teach.
I don't think we should.
Is that AAVE it's ever changing, right? We're always adding words to the dictionary, right? Because people make words official.
Yeah.
So
but I mean,
there are words that we have created now that you're going to find in Merriam that you would not have found years ago.
And to me, and this is where I find it, and where I'm on the fence with it. So I'm on the fence with it because I don't want everyone, and I hate to say this publicly, but I want to gatekeep it. I'm sorry, I want to gatekeep
get that to a degree.
And so to me, I don't feel the need for it to be taught publicly if it's something that we're handing down to our children in our households. And if we continue to build upon the language, as you mentioned, then it is going to be something that we keep alive for centuries after.
Right. So
why teach it?
It's fluent. It's okay. So maybe not teach it, but I just don't think that we should be I don't think we should be in the business
with
of
hiding it.
Right.
And I agree with that. I agree with that. I don't think that we need to hide it.
I would say this: the reason why it should be taught taught at a higher educational level is because a person has to understand English before they can really understand, AAVE. And one of the things we got to understand. But one thing we do have to understand that there's a difference between AAVE and slang. Those are two different things, completely different things. You know what I mean? Slang is whenever you use a word and use the word as a substitute and just flip the meaning. Whereas AAVE is more the way we talk, you know what I'm saying? And then you can attach some different dialects to it. Some people may drag their R's, and then it's things like, they drop off, we drop off certain letters, drop off certain letters, change different verbs. It's a whole different, it's different than slang, and the thing is that it's just not all Black people that speak AAVE, because it's a language it's a variant that's been spoken amongst a lot of poor people. So when you got other poor people living amongst us in the community, they pick up on us because we're the dominant persons, the majority of those poor peoples in those areas. So that's why you may have like white boys or even Asian people. A lot of Asian people that I know, they actually speak AAVE, but they also have they could actually probably turn it into a different way of speaking because they have it in their dialect and they change different words. So I understand gatekeeping. I'm all for that and everything, but we just have to understand, like, between the internet and multicultural society, is going to be picked up by different people.
And I definitely agree with the higher education too. And I love the fact that it's being recognized as another language and as a subvariant language, because I'm about to start putting bilingual on my resume. And they ask me what I'm speaking. I'm like, oh, I speak AAVE. And then I don't have to code switch, because then I'm gonna be I'm gonna speak AAVE.
But this is the thing about it, right? And so with that being said, this is the part. When our children, the first language that children are going to learn is the language that's spoken at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we want them to go to school and learn formal English, but what I feel like happens is they go to school, we learn formal English, and then we are, that AAVE that we come with is snatched, it's changed, they tell us, no, this is the correct way of speaking.
We're still going to speak it at home.
You're still going to speak it at home, but you're telling them that it's wrong. The way that you're speaking is wrong, and then they're correcting the language. So it's a matter of saying, no, maybe it's not about correcting the language, but more so that may be how you say it there, but this is how, the proper way of saying it, not the right or wrong way, not the you shouldn't talk that, you shouldn't speak that. And that's what I worry will happen.
So you're saying that basically we're teaching kids at an early age to code switch.
We are, right? Because we're telling them this is the setting of which you speak like this, and this is the setting of which you speak like that. And that's necessary right now. But if it's something that we're looking to like completely, integrate and make a thing, then I don't want you to tell my child that what they're saying is wrong. You know what I'm saying? You can share with them another way of saying it, but you don't tell them that they're wrong.
With saying that something is proper is alluding to the fact that the other way is wrong.
That's why they actually changed it from proper English to standard English.
Okay.
So it's standard American English is really the correct way of saying it, because within America, there's so many different type of dialects. There's so many. I mean, like, for instance, we're between North and South Carolina. I actually read somewhere where North and South Carolina are actually the most dialectically diverse regions in America. You know what I mean? Because you can actually drive through about 10 cities in North Carolina, and everybody got a different accent. Everybody got a different dialect. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Between North Carolina and South Carolina, those two ports. Those
right. We probably can tie those dialects back to our African origins, or
exactly.
That's
because
it's dope and it's sad at the same time.
Those Maryland ports, that's the northern way. That's a different dialect. Still, you're gonna still pick up that AAVE there, but even still, that's a northern region.
Yeah,
exactly. And I know somebody that was I know someone that grew up and stayed in a small town on the coast of North Carolina, like up near the Virginia border-ish.
Me?
Well, even further up and coastal than you. And when I first heard them speak, and when I say them, I mean the people that were original, like the family members that still stayed in that area, that hadn't ventured out into other parts of North Carolina, because they ended up losing their accent once they got to other parts of North Carolina. But back to it, they really sounded like they were from Britain. Like they had a mix between a British accent and an American accent with a little bit of, you know, that the AAVE, the African accent in there. And I thought it was so like amazing that they still kept on to like having that twang and mixing.
You notice that's the same as like Baltimore talk. Baltimore talk that too. That come from the British. So yeah, we're just so much of a melting pot out here. I mean, you got just so many different, you know, people from everywhere in America, you know. So that's just one of the beauties of America, though, how diverse it is. So some people say like English is like a very hard language to learn. It's just not English. It's just what comes with English. You know what I mean? You got so many different versions of English between all the different countries that those British people, those British folks colonized. There's so many different types of English, and a lot of it's found in America too. So it's just kind of dope about that. Whenever you just you know, the different kinds of AAVE and different kinds of English that is spoken in the country. So that's kind of dope.
So when we talk AAVE, we're speaking solely on how it's African American vernacular. Have you heard of any other cultures outside of the US, being America, that has their own standard of AAVE? So is it called something else in like South America? Like how are they approaching it in certain parts of like the Caribbean? Any thoughts on that? Like is it
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. I mean, that's why like Jamaican, for instance. Like Jamaican, they got Jamaican vernacular English, where they have their own version of English, but they also have Jamaican patois, Jamaican Creole, that is, you can say that is very similar to Geechee. And that's, you know, and the people in the Bahamians, they the same way. So I mean, yeah, everybody has that where they put their own twist to it, because they sit in their community. I mean, they're in their own communities. They're talking every day. So they're going to form their own type of different language. So it's only natural. It's only natural.
So I guess I would want to know like some commonly known phrases and things that we use in AAVE. As Run would say, not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good.
I mean, it could be something simple like, yo, bro, like say, bro, I'm about to go to the store real quick. You need something. I mean, just something like that. You know, that's how I talk with my people. And it's funny we talking about code switches. I had a friend who came by when I was working, and she was like, "Oh my God, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You was sounding like a straight white dude." But then as soon as I turn around, I'm like, "Yo, what's good, bro?" You got to switch it off like that. You know what I mean?
That part. That's the part, I guess.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, that's the beauty of it. So, I mean, just simple stuff. You know, like I want to go down the street real quick and get me something. You want something from the store? There's so many different things I done switched up. That was not proper. That was not standard English. And it was probably about 3 or 4, 5 different words that I pretty much formed with my dialect and my AAVE when I said that. You feel me?
Some of those words that, for instance, you straight.
Mm-hmm.
You straight means so many different things. You straight is a question. You straight is a statement. You know, like, you straight? Nah, man, you straight.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You cool? Nah, man, he cool. She cool. You cool.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, you dig back in the day to understand.
Talking about. Bro. You know, just me saying that, what you talking about, bro? So like, what you talking about, bro? Like, whatcha, WATACHA. That's a whole word right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just based on the AAVE.
For sure.
That's two words. What you talking about?
Bruh is so like universal. I've heard it in. I know it's a term that's used in in Europe right now. I know it's a term that's used in a lot of Latin countries, like from an African American perspective, like, or from an AAVE perspective. So yeah, even just that word. I mean, and it can be a question too, like bruh.
Bruh.
Come
on. My husband hinted to back in the day, like, I'm about to go up yonder. About to go over yonder. Everything was yonder.
Yeah, that's straight Southern right there.
Yonder. Just saying is like, so slang would be AF, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Or some and slang could be like, like I got you remember when people say something was butter, something was fire, what I mean, stuff like that. Like that's a fire ass jacket right there. You basically let them know he got a good jacket, fire. Yeah. So yeah, slang words. It's kind of different than AAVE.
What was it? She thick.
Fat. THAT.
Yeah.
Fat AF. Yeah. That's it. That's what's up. All right. Anyway, that was good stuff.
And we really appreciate you coming on to give your perspective on this topic.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime.
We hope maybe to have you back on some other areas, especially maybe something financial. I know that you have a background in that. We both have that in common. So we can chat it up about that in the future. But we really appreciate you coming on the show today to talk about vernacular. Any closing remarks?
No, I just want to say I love my people. Love you, sister. Appreciate y'all having me on, and stay Black and powerful. Black is beautiful.
Word.
Thank you. We needed that. Felt that in my soul. Feel so much more beautiful right now. But we thank everyone for listening to the podcast where we talk
and you listen.
See you next time. I don't know why I always say that. What am I talking about? Don't forget to, as always, subscribe, like us, share, and make sure you check us out on all of your streaming platforms. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.